Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, then if we are good, then I can start doing this demo session.
Yes, sure, sure. Maybe you can start.
Okay, guys, thanks for joining this demo session. I am Manish, and today I'm going to give you a demo session on the ACI. The agenda of this session would be like what are the contents we would be covering in this training, and I will walk you through the lab access, how you can access the lab, and we will talk on the like what are the scenarios I'm going to cover in the training sessions. So basically, I'm having 15 years of experience in core data networking domain, and since 3 years I'm working in Cisco ACI technology. So currently I'm handling a very large US customer which is having this Cisco ACI multi-site technology. So it's kind of a DCDR solution they are having, and we are having two Cisco ACI data centers which is connected via multi-site technology. So we are also using multi-site orchestrator to manage the epic of the each sites. So I am very well versed with the different logical and network constructs, policy creations using Epic and orchestrators, the ACI, how to look into the CLI to troubleshoot an issue, how you can look into the GUI faults, what are the meaning of the faults, events, code upgrade, everything I have done. I mean, from the brown field to the green field, migration from the legacy network to the ACI network, and integration of WLC, load balancer, firewall, L3 out, L2 out, VMM integration, and EPG assignment to the server ports, BD, everything. I mean, tenant and what are the meaning of the default tenant, like common infra management. So in other words, I have very good experience in the Cisco ACI technology, and this is my hobby to do the knowledge sharing session. Even in my company, I used to do have a technical session. So let me give you the a high level overview on the contents. So let me put this in the presenter mode. So first topic will be I hope I am pretty audible to all of you.
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. So the first discussion will happen on the Cisco ACI overview. So like what is Cisco ACI, why we are bringing ACI when we are doing on the traditional networking almost 20 years. What is the advantage Cisco ACI is bringing into the picture, and how we can bring the fabric, how we can connect spine and leaf, how what is the role of COOP protocol, what is the role of ISIS, what is the role of VXLAN, that means overlay and the underlay we will discuss, and we'll talk about the traffic flow on this. So that is the that will be the whole content around the Cisco ACI overview chapter. So I have not written down the sub contents of that, but this all we will covering which I am explaining now. So just one heading Cisco ACI overview, but this is actually a macro one. It consists of various granular level the contents actually, which we will be sharing, or you can go our website and see the contents there. Second thing is application network profile. So basically application network profile is also a part of the policy. So like our interface policy, tenant policy, BD, EPG, network profile, all those things I will explain, and uh, we will be doing the lab. In our lab, we'll be doing how we can create the application network profile, EPG, various I mean policy constructs, and how we can push the policies from the epic to the underlying hardware, which is a spine and leaf connected in a class manner actually. So like a spine is connected to leaf and leaf is connected to spine, no spine and no leaf connect to each other. Then we will talk about the multi-tenancy constructs, like how we can create a tenant. And as we know that tenant is a logical construct. So under the tenant, all the networking constructs or logical constructs, how we can create and how they are related to each other. So we will definitely going to talk about the object model of the ACI and how one object we can leverage in the multiple places to bring the holistic configurations or policies actually. So now ACI policy contract, you know that ACI is a whitelist model. So definitely to allow any communication, we have to first allow that communication, otherwise it will not going to happen. So how we can use a contract? What is the policy enforcement module in the ACI? What is the policy constructs at the VRF level, or what we can do if you don't want to create a contract for every now and then communication? What is the alternative offered by the ACI that we are going to cover under this? So this is also, and how we can define the bidirectional communication. So all those things we will cover under the ACI policy constructs. Then we are talking, then we will talk about the layer 4 and layer 7 integration, like your firewall and load balancer integration with the Epic, how you can push the policy without not logging into the load balancer and the this guy firewall. You can also push, you can also push the configurations, you can also push the configuration from the Epic. So that is basically an integration with respect to that. Hypervisor integration is nothing but your VMM integration. Majorly we cover the VMM integrations. So we will see in the lab how we can do the VMware integration, I mean the Epic to the vCenter, and how we can push the policy from the Epic to the vCenter, which will appear there as a port group. So there we will talk about the hypervisor integration. And yeah, and some live scenarios like migration, like I told you, like brownfield and greenfield. So like you have some servers in your legacy network and you want to migrate, or let's say there are still many VLANs which are in the which are in the legacy and 7K 5K 2K environment, and but servers you have connected in the fabric, they are connected to the leaf, or mix and match. Like some servers are still there in the legacy, some servers on the ACI, how we can communicate and how we can migrate without getting a downtime. So this we will talk. So let me give you, show you the lab. So basically, this lab is, this is ACI simulator which we have installed on the ESXi server. So you can say it's kind of a virtual machine. So this we will be using in our lab actually. So this I have login, say begin first time setup. So we will talk about the lab discovery. Before that, you can go to the labs.netminion.net, or you can just do the netminion.net website, and from there you can click on the lab. It will take you to this website, and then you can log in with your credential. After registration, the credential will be shared to you. You have to click on this window. I have already clicked that. You can see this terminal is uh, this only. So in this way you can have the access of the lab. And so let's say here we can see this is got discovered with the leaf node. So we have to click on the register. Just let me here. This is a leaf, to select leaf. Node ID 11.
Hello, sir.
Click on the submit. It will be registering.
Sorry to interrupt. May I know, like, what is the AC version like you're using it?
Yeah, it's a 4, version 4, 4.255.
Okay.
Yeah. It's take bit time actually in registering that. Okay. So you know that this discovery happens via LLDP and CDP. So when API connects to the leaf which first connect, it will discover that leaf, and then that leaf is connected to the spine, because leaf to leaf is no connection. There is no direct connection between the leaf and leaf. So then that's why after leaf you are seeing that spine is available, and it's now become active. It's got registered. It's got this leaf got registered. Let's go to the spine. Let me give some higher ID to this. Select the spine and name it like spine 1. And click on the submit. It will be registering, and then spine is further connected to leaf. So after that you will get one more leaf. So in this topology we have 2 leaf and 1 spine, but that is sufficient to do your all lab. Basically after doing the lab you will be very well versed with the navigation and the constructs of the ACI, which is the most time confusing. So most of the time people are not aware, like if they have to connect a server, where they should go and create a policy. What is the role of villain pool? What is the role of domain? All those things we'll be discussing and creating in our lab. So now you can see this spine was connected to the second leaf, and this is showing inactive, but it will take some time and become active actually. So registration is a bit slow process. We have to be patient while doing the registration, or in the lab or in the production environment. The behavior is same. So this is the second leaf, and I'm going to give the node ID as a 102 and a leaf as a leaf 2. Uh, Give a minute, guys. Let it register. Then we will go to the Epic GUI. Okay, so almost done. Let me refresh the screen that the latest leaf is discovering in the fabric. So ACI is getting very popular these days. Almost every customer, if it's not going to the cloud, if they are planning to go to the private cloud, they are adopting the ACI, because the performance which you get via ACI, you will not get with the other competitor in the market. So let's say if you talk about the NSX is good. I'm not saying it's not good, but still it is in the software. So the functionality which you get in the hardware, the performance which you get in the hardware, sometimes I have seen that it's not matching with the software one. So let's click on the continue. So the market trend is very high. I'm not going to do this BGP, DNS, and TP configuration right away. This we can do anytime while accessing the GUI. So now our this Epic GUI is ready. So you can see if I click on the tenant, so common infra and management tenant is by default there. But we anytime we can create a tenant. Let's say if you want to add a tenant, I'm giving the name NetMinion, and VRF name if you want to specify, you can specify here, or you can create it later. So it will take me direct to the NetMinion tenant, which is like a data center in the VMware. So here you have to either you can drag and drop, or you can right click and do. So I have done one. I have drag and drop. I'm creating NetMinion VRF, and this we will talk about what is these knobs, what is their significance in the course. So currently I'm just creating one NetMinion VRF, and then I will be attaching the BD to this VRF. So VRF, you know that VRF is a private network. It is a routing table isolation. So same concept, this VRF is there working like this. So tenant is like a multi-tenancy environment if you are using, like let's say you are a service provider and you have a one customer like Pepsi, one customer like a Coke. So you can create a two tenant and create their logical construct there, network construct there, and then they will be isolated totally until or unless you will not do a route leaking, one tenant will not able to talk to the another tenant. But inside the tenant, let's say you have a multiple environment like prod, development, DMG and UAT, so you can create a VRF corresponding to that and attach to their corresponding BD, and then you can create a separate environment inside a tenant actually. So let's say I create one net minion BD, and the VRF I have created earlier I have to select here, because ACI is an object model. Until or unless you will not select, until or unless you will not attach one object to another object to create a meaningful construct, it is not going to work. It will give you the error. So I'm going to click on the next. Then it will ask me to give the layer 3 configuration. So you can see unicast routing is enabled. That means it will do the job of SVI. Like when you create a VLAN in the regular your 7K or Catalyst switches, then you create a interface VLAN 4, let's say. So when you select this unicast routing, then the Epic will treat this BD as a layer 3 BD. Otherwise, it will be a layer 2 BD. So R flooding is not required, because anyway you are doing the unicast routing, so R flooding is disabled by default no matter whether you have selected it or not. And here you can give the subnet information. So let's say 10.1.4.1/24. It understand the CIDR notation, and based on your requirement, like you want to keep this VRF within the keep this BD within the VRF, or you also advertise to the external world, let's say some legacy network or some other tenant. So you can do based on the choice. We will talk in the our regular lab and regular sessions. So as of now, I'm just defining the subnet and keep it the scope like private to VRF. So it will only in the available in the VRF. Okay. Then it will ask me to take to the third one, which I'm not going to use, like monitoring policy and all those things. I'm not going to use currently, and I'm going to click the finish. So you can see in this graphical representation that this BD net minion BD is attached to the net minion VRF. Okay, so whatever the VRF you keep on attaching here and you keep on the configuration, that will show here in the graphical representation. So let's say if you have a 10 BD in a VRF, you just click on the networking and it will show here. It will give you a quick overview like, okay, in this VRF, I have this 10 subnet. So guys, this was a very short demo, but if you have any questions, you can ask. Or if in a particular section you want to discuss, we can discuss.
Actually, I have one question. So, can you explain about spine proxy and flood traffic?
Yeah, sure. So let me open the pen. This is my spine. Let's call it spine 201, spine 202. I always keep spine in a higher numeric order, 201, 202, and leave 101 and
Yeah. Now
leave.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So, like, why in ACA, like, they're determining spine as 200 to 300 and leaf from 100 to 200?
So, okay, let me tell you one thing. there is no such restriction that you cannot define the spine ID as a 104 or 105. Only thing is, only thing is from 1 to 100 is reserved for the apex. The ID 1 to 100 is reserved for the apex. So what happens, that's why you have seen in many production environment that the leaf ID, we start with the leaf 101, 102, 103, 105. If say, let's say we have 40 leaf switches, so we will do like 101, 102 and 140. And just to differentiate, because if you see that now at once you will confuse, oh, okay, it's okay, if you click that you will get the details, if you go to the inventory you will get the details, but just to differentiate that, we keep it like spine 201 and 202, a higher order, just to differentiate that this is the spine.
Okay.
Yeah, so in large environment there are 40 switches, 50 leaf switches. Okay, so if you go, you may be confused if you are in a hurry or you overlook that. But if you could keep the spine idea higher, then you can quickly notice that. Otherwise there is no logic, like you cannot keep it like 105 and 106 to the spine. Only the initial 1 to 100s are reserved for the apex. I hope this answer your question. What's your name?
Yeah, Stanley.
Stanley. Okay, Stanley. So I'm just drawing one pencil line just for the sake of the time. Let's say this is the epic and just drawing one epic, but understand that this is the epic cluster. So my epics are connected to the leaf 101 and 102, and these are the spine. Now let's say this leaf 101 and leaf 102 is connected with 11 server. And this server, okay, let me write it down for easy identification. Oh, sorry. This is server 1, server 2, and this guy is a 192.168.1.1, and this guy is a 192.168.1.2. Sorry, it's a 2. Okay. Now server 1 wants to communicate to the server 2. Okay, so that means 192.168.1.1 wants to connect with the 192.168.1.2. Okay, so when the server 1 send a ARP request for 192.168.1.2 to get the MAC address to send the frame to the MAC, because they are in the same subnet. So what happened, this leaf is very intelligent. It's create a LST, local station table. Okay, and it say 192.168.1.1. Let's say this is in Ethernet 1 by 5, ETH 1 by 5. So here it will say 192.168.1.1 MAC address A.B.C.D is connected to Ethernet 1/5. Okay, similarly this guy will create one local station table, and it will say that 192.168.1.2, let's say same Ethernet 1 by 5. Just for symmetry you have kept the same interface on the both of the side, and this is E.F.G.H MAC address. So this learns about this leaf 102 learns about the server 2 and put in the local station table. Okay, then in the fabric there is a one protocol that runs, which is known as a COOP, Council of Oracle Protocol. So the job of this Council of Oracle Protocol is to advertise all the end host to the spines actually. So no matter 201 or 202, this 201 will be aware about this 202. This 202 is also aware of this. So that means this spine 201 will leave 101 192.168.1.1 and leaf 102 192.168.1.2, and same table this is spine 202 you also maintain. So now let's go back to the initial communication. So this guy want to send the packet to 192.168.1.2, but since this is very first time the communication is happening, so leaf 101 is not aware about this 192.168.1.2 is connected to the leaf 102 and what is the MAC address. So what it will say, go to the it will send the information to the spine 201. 201 will say, okay, this is connected to the 192.168. This 192.168.1.2 is connected to the leaf 102. Then they will form a VXLAN tunnel with their VTEP IP address. I have not explained the VTEP IP address, but VTEP IP address is assigned to the every fabric as soon as they get discovered in the fabric, basically. So if we go to the our lab,
Actually, it's supposed to be any cast VTEP, right? When it goes
no,
to
no, no, no,
spine.
no, 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 no. Yeah, yes, yes, it's fine. Yeah, 1 minute. Where is my lab? Okay, 1 minute. Fabric membership. So here you can see these guys are having these tunnel endpoint addresses. So uh, yeah, okay. So this information which the spine is maintaining is known as a proxy table. So proxy table means if you are not aware, then send it to the proxy. So it will be aware about every endpoint information. So once the communication happen, then the leaf one will cache that information, and that is known as a global station table. So this is the local station table, and the caching is known as a global station table. And this endpoint information with the spine maintained is the proxy table, because ACI fabric don't want to do a broadcast. They suppress the broadcast. To bring the broadcast, they do this behavior. They bring the spine and they bring this proxy table. So if you look into the lab once again, let me take you to the lab. So when you create the BD there, if you go to the tenants, in tenants you will see both behavior will be there. Based on your requirement you can do. So if you go to the NetMinion BD and if you click on the policy and if you scroll down, you can see L2 unknown unicast is hardware proxy and flood as well. So if you click on the flood, then this will flood. Then they will not refer the proxy table, basically.
Sorry to interrupt you,
Yes, who is this?
Cecilia.
Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah. So the picture you showed, proxy as well as flood, right? So we do the flood. What happens?
If you do the flood, then what is the role of proxy table? Then the whole design of the ACI will not comes into picture, right? So we do the flood when there is a requirement. When the gateway is outside the fabric, then we do the flood.
Okay.
If the gateway is inside the fabric, when the ACI is doing the routing, then why ACI want to do the flood? It has a proxy table. It will maintain the proxy table and get the information from there and send the unicast packet to the destination. Flooding is not good, right? Flooding is not good. No one wants flooding in the network. But flooding is required when the yes. Tell me.
Sorry, when that GPO, there is one thing called GPO, right? When that come into picture, then
That comes under the multicast forwarding.
No, actually, like flooding will come in GPO for there is an FTAG tree will be formed. So there won't be any loop creation in ACI. I think
No,
like
this GPO is GPO and what tagging abstract tree and all those things that comes under the multicast only, because the ACI this is itself is a routed structure actually. So loop is not formed anyway, and even if you connect a switch, let's say here, and connect both of the loop wire that switch to avoid that, also there is a mechanism in the fabric which is known as a MCP basically. So MCP work on the top of HTTP. If HTTP is working on the lower environment and not able to detect the loop, then MCP will comes into picture and block the redundant link between the switches. So there is no way this loop is formed in the fabric.
Sorry for interrupt. Manish, this side is Amarnath.
Hello?
Amarnath, sir.
Yeah, Amar.
So, have you also covered the hardware of the Nexus 9K in this?
Hardware we will touch, yes, definitely we are going to touch on that. It's based on the majority of the audience. If they are interested to talk about the hardware, but most of the time people are not interested in the hardware. So, but yes, if you guys are interested in knowing the hardware, we will touch that part as well.
Okay. So will you touch?
Was in failure due to some issue of the hardware in Nexus 9K for spine. I take the on-demand tech support before the upgrade the iOS, but it was bad luck, and the both span will both module of the both span will go down. So I think I need to take some light on the hardware also.
Okay, fine.
So will you touch the L4, L7 integration as well during the course?
Yes.
It will cover both load balancer as well as firewall.
Yeah, basically, not full-fledged. We can do L4 to L7, but yes, I will touch that part because this then we need a firewall and load balancer in the lab to, because see L4 and L7 is nothing but in other words you are controlling from the epic, right? So that means we also need a firewall and load balancer in the fabric for that kind of redirection. But yes, concepts and configuration I will explain.
So I don't think this with the help of simulator you will be able to show us the ping across the different.
No. Ping is not. That's why I tell you very frankly that this is the simulator. This is the OA file which we downloaded from the Cisco, and we install in the hypervisor actually. So you won't be able to do the data plane traffic. Control plane and configuration will work actually.
And if we want to see the routes being exchanged between EPGs and VRF, will that be happening?
EPG thing is happening, but if you say that
I'm saying about the routes. If I want to see the routes being exchanged between two VRFs, or if I'm doing route leaking or I'm making some shared VRFs.
No, the data VLAN data parts, I don't think it will be possible. But yes, if you create a bridge domain, EPG and all those things, you can see via CLI or GUI, whatever it is. But let's say if you are integrating, let's say you say that you are configuring a L3 out and you can actually connect a physical router to this, that is not possible. And you are sending the routes and do the SOIP route and do, that is not possible. That is a limitation of the simulator. Actually, that lab is also possible. What's your name? Come again?
Sushil.
Sushil, that is also possible, but that is going to cost very much actually. Then in that case, we can take the lab from the external party, and that is then the cost will be manifold actually. Then they will be providing you the I mean, we can tie with them and we can bring the whole spine and leave and everything, server and everything, router and everything, but the cost will be manifold in that case.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why you will see across the training industry people are using the simulator, and sometimes they also bring the D cloud in that, but D cloud is also same thing, simulator. Yeah, so I will be doing like sometimes I will bring the cloud, sometime I will bring the simulator. So to make the configuration lab more robust, but technically that is not a data plane.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, no issue. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so apart from any technical question, is there any other question to anyone? All of you are good?
Hello.
Yes.
So, even after completing the course, how long we can access this lab?
See, you will be having whatever the number of hours we will be providing to you. Okay. We
Okay.
will be providing you for 2 months. Okay.
Okay, 2 months of
60
lab.
days. 60 days. Okay.
Okay.
So that duration, whenever you wanted to do, maybe this month, next month, that all depends on you then.
Okay.
So hopefully this whole training duration is 32 hours. Correct me, Manish, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yes, 32 hours. And just to add, Radhe, this we can do on the weekend basis because I hope you guys are working. So weekend in the afternoon or in the late evening, maybe 8 p.m. IST onwards, we can do actually.
Correct. So
Just
there are
to,
two time slots. One is the same time slot on which we joined today. Okay. Second is from 8 to 11 evening. Okay. So maybe 8 to 10, 30, 11, most probably that. So
yeah.
this will be 2 to 3 hours of session. Okay. It all depends. Like it can be 3 or 2.5 like that. Okay. And pure weekend class. You will be get recordings, whatever we are teaching you. You will be having the recordings of that class. Okay. Soon you will be having a portal where you can log in and you can check the recordings. Okay, that we will be providing you, and that is for your that there will be no limit on that. You can access that recording anytime. Okay. Any other question?
So Anthony, Sanjay, Susil, Sekhar, Vijay, you guys are working somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think then weekend will be good for you guys as well.
So I just
So
wanted to know, like, you'll be just teaching a basic ACI or advanced ACI also is a part of this
so
lecture.
whatever the contents I show you, that is I'm going to cover anyway. There is no ambiguity in that. But yes, some migration scenarios and touch base on the multi-pod and multi-site scenario also I will include. And not only that, in everything, let's say I am creating EPG. So what kind of issue you face in EPG to EPG communications, I will explain you. What kind of mistake we do when we create a configuration, that I will include from my experience to you actually.
Okay. So actually, I joined a little late, so I have no idea. Like,
Well,
can you
sorry.
share me the details of syllabus or something?
Yeah, you will be getting. I think from my team, NetMinion Parth or someone will. You can request him. He can share you all the details. And
Yeah.
the lab, I believe we have on the website itself. If we go to the labs, this is netminion.net,
Yeah.
and in the 1 minute, guys, this is the estimate. This is the.
No, it is a console for you. Maybe if you log out,
Oh, okay. I have opened the.
they
Yeah.
right log out from here. Maybe they can able to see that then.
Sure.
Right. So you guys will be having such kind of lab portal. Okay. Once you register over here, and you would enroll, you will be getting some another console. If you are not enrolled, you will be having some another console. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm missing the navigation, Radhe. If you can help
The
me.
second the second the second button, net minion.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
If you click over here, you will go to the main site, and maybe it would be good if you can show them the whole syllabus also, please.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do that only.
Into the
So,
training, in the trainings, if you will navigate to the training, to the networking, the very first, yeah.
okay, yeah,
Cisco,
Cisco
then
and
data center,
yeah, it's come under the data center.
yeah, ACI. So guys, you will be having this whole documented, okay, whatever we are showing over here, there would be no discrepancy, okay. Either we will modify this if there is something which we cannot able to like show you, else we will not keep over here. If we are providing anything over here, it means we will be delegating all of
Yeah, we will be
them.
delivering that. So, so don't worry about that. We will be covering all the contents.